Today on ChessKid, we're going to talk about the importance of going back to basics. And I'm not your chess teacher today, oh no. It is International Master / Women's Grandmaster Dinara Saidoukasova. I think I nailed the name, but she nailed the chess. So let's take a look at this important reminder of why the basics are so important. Before we get to an explanation about this position though, make sure you subscribe to ChessKid for all of the learning and fun. Okay, white to move in this position. Dinara was actually playing on her home soil at the World Rapid Championship in Kazakhstan. And at first, it actually looks like kind of an easy puzzle, right? Some sort of back rank problem. Now, if you're watching this video, you've probably solved some back rank tactics before. So the most obvious move to look at is Queen E8 because it's a check and it goes after the back rank. Unfortunately, if you play Queen E8, black can just take, and when you take back, black can block with the bishop, and there's actually no obvious follow-up here. I don't think that this knight check does a whole lot because the king moves forward and I just don't really see a follow-up. You might win some sort of meaningless pawn, like if you try to go grabbing this pawn or something, but if you lose this one back, even 3-on-2 on the king side is not going to be enough to win. It's probably going to be 3-on-3 at the end of the day. So this just doesn't get the job done. And even if it was winning, it wouldn't be an easy win. By the way, there is an interesting line here. You could try this move c5 because the bishop is pinned, and white is definitely better, but I don't think clearly winning. Black may actually give a little bit of material back just to get this guy off the board. For example, rook to a5, double attacking the pawn. And the funny thing is, if your rook moves over to defend, this is a funny idea where the bishop is pinned, but you can take with the rook and the bishop does defend the rook. It's the one time a pinned piece does defend, because you can see if white's rook takes back, then the bishop would not be pinned anymore. So white would probably push this pawn, but then if black captures and then comes back, this position after white promotes and the rook takes and takes, this is very difficult to win. I'm not even sure it is a win because with all the pawns on one side of the board, the bishop can defend okay. And of course, the bishop's on a dark square, the pawns are on light squares, and black even has an extra light pawn, which does help secure some of those light squares. I'm not even sure if Stockfish played Stockfish if white would be winning in this position. Even if it is a win, it is not an easy win. So, going back to our beginning position, you might think, hey, okay, let's bring the knight here. That way when the queen moves and our queen goes to the square e8, maybe our knight can actually dive into this square, but still not so clear to me. For example, if you move your queen and then this queen comes up, and then we have this typical trade, and the bishop goes back, the knight can't really make use of the d7 square, so white is better, but I don't see a clear win in this position. So let's go back to our starting position. Remember the basics to look at checks and captures every turn? Well, this is definitely a good reminder of that, because how did Dinara win the game? She played what looks like kind of a harmless check. She played knight to e7. Okay, now the king has two different ways it can go, but the problem is if the king goes left, then when the back rank problems happen, the bishop can't block. And if the king goes right, if there's ever a back rank check, the bishop would block but would not be protected by the king. So remember all those examples where we tried to give back rank checkmate, but the bishop kept blocking? Even though they weren't the right answer, they actually give you clues as to what the right answer is. Now, I cannot go inside Dinara's brain. She's busy playing the tournament. I can't even call her. But I am going to guess that she did look at this move first. And she saw bishop f8, and she couldn't find a way to break through the bishop, and she went back to her second or third option. And then she found, hey, this check is worthy of my attention. She started analyzing it, and after knight to e7 check, no matter which way the king goes, then she has some back rank tricks. Okay, we're just gonna pick a square for the king, although her second move is gonna be the same, whether the king goes left or right. We're gonna pick the king going to the corner, and now comes a back rank tactic. We actually had to set it up with the knight. The knight did one good job. It forced the king to a less good square. Sorry for my bad English, but now the knight is a blockader. We would even say it cuts the communication with the move knight to c8. It's an obstruction tactic. We obstruct the black queen from guarding the very important e8 square. Now white is just threatening mate in two, because if the queen makes a random move, and I don't know why she would make a random move, but then we play queen to e8, Bishop blocks, and it's checkmate, okay? Now, of course, the queen is not going to make a random move. The queen is going to take. Oh, and by the way, you probably already figured this out, but we're double attacking this rook. Yes, we are. The queen and the knight. We haven't even talked about the fact that that rook is being targeted. So black has this problem. If black moves the rook to a random square, I've already shown you the checkmate as well. So the only other line really is to take, but then our queen grabs the rook. And this is a winning advantage, mostly because we've kept the pawn on the board. Also, it actually helps that the queens are on the board too, because white can make a battery with the queen and the rook. So white's winning chances are actually better with the queens on the board. But more importantly, white keeps the pawn, because if the queen tries to take, it's just mate in a few moves. Our queen just goes up to the back rank. And this is the problem. The bishop cannot block on f8. Well, it could block, but it's not protected. Queen takes is mate. And just really quick to put the icing on the cake, if the king had gone the other way, the exact same move wins. Knight c8, this is still a checkmate threat. And if you take my knight, I still take, and you still can't take the pawn because queen a8 is still an eventual mate after you put your queen in the way and I take your queen. So very, very cool. What did we learn there? We learned that just because you know what back rank checkmate is doesn't mean that the constant study of back rank themes is important. And also we learned that sometimes it does take you your second or third option to find a tactical solution. So Dinara knew the back rank was weak, but she had to go to probably her second or third move to figure out exactly how to make it work. A stellar game. Thank you for the lesson, Dinara, and good luck in the rest of your tournament.